I am Marjorie, 57 years old, and this should have been the happiest day of my life. My only daughter, Sophia, was getting married to a man named Tyler. I had some reservations about him, but I kept them to myself. How could I have known that during the reception, a simple chair would reveal everything I had feared about the man my daughter married? Before I tell you this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If you have ever witnessed someone show their true colours at the worst possible moment, please hit that like and subscribe button. This journey changed everything. Growing up, Sophia and I were inseparable. I raised her alone after her father Richard walked out when she was just 6 years old. He decided family life was too restrictive and left us with little more than a note and several unpaid bills. I never badmouthed him to Sophia, but I also never hid the truth when she asked why her father rarely called and never visited. Those early years were tough. I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. During the day, I was a school librarian, and evenings I worked at a local bookstore. My mother helped watch Sophia when I worked late. Despite our financial struggles, I was determined to give Sophia every opportunity. I saved religiously for her college fund, often forgoing new clothes or repairs to our modest home. Sophia was a bright child, curious and determined. She inherited my love of reading, but also possessed a confidence I never had. By high school, she was a straight A student, active in debate club and student government. I beamed with pride at every achievement, knowing each one was hard-earned. When she received a partial scholarship to attend university, I cried tears of joy. The remainder of her tuition came from my careful saving and a small student loan. Sophia majored in marketing and communications, graduating with honours. Within 3 years of graduation, she had worked her way up to become a marketing executive at a prestigious firm in the city. I will never forget the Sunday afternoon when Sophia first brought Tyler home. It was about 2 years ago, a crisp fall day. She had mentioned dating someone new, but this was the first time she wanted me to meet him. Tyler arrived in an expensive car, dressed impeccably in designer clothes. He was handsome, with his perfectly styled hair and confident smile. He brought an expensive bottle of wine and complimented my modest home in a way that felt rehearsed. Tyler spoke extensively about his successful real estate development business, his connections with city officials, and the exclusive clubs he belonged to. He was 8 years older than Sophia at 36 and carried himself with the assurance of someone accustomed to getting what he wanted. I noticed little things that day that gave me pause. The way he interrupted Sophia mid-sentence. How his hand on her back seemed less affectionate and more possessive. The subtle corrections he made to her stories. When Sophia described a challenging project at work, Tyler jumped in with, "What Sophia means is," as if she were incapable of articulating her own experiences. Sophia laughed it off. "Tyler just knows how to explain things better," she said, with a smile that did not quite reach her eyes. When Tyler excused himself to take a phone call, I asked Sophia how they had met. "At a charity gala my company was promoting," she explained, her eyes brightening. "He bid $10,000 on a silent auction package just to impress me. Can you believe that, Mum? I could actually." Tyler struck me as the type who used money to impress and control, but Sophia looked happier than I had seen her in a long time, so I pushed my concerns aside. Over the following months, I tried several times to get to know Tyler better, inviting the couple for dinners or suggesting outings together. Each time, Tyler had a reason why they could not make it or would need to leave early. Business meetings, exclusive events with clients, or last-minute trips seemed to always take precedence. More troubling was how Sophia gradually became less available too. Our weekly Sunday brunches dwindled to monthly, then became rare occurrences. When we did speak on the phone, Sophia sounded rushed, often mentioning that Tyler was waiting for her or that they had plans. Then came the engagement just 8 months after they had started dating. Sophia called me, her voice pitched high with excitement. Tyler had proposed at a rooftop restaurant with a 5-carat diamond ring. The wedding was already being planned for the following spring. "Is not that a bit fast, sweetheart?" I asked gently. "When you know, Mum," she replied, a defensive edge to her voice. "Tyler says at our age there is no point in waiting." I swallowed my concerns. "As long as you are happy, that is all that matters to me." "I am," she insisted. "Tyler knows exactly what he wants and how to make things happen. Do you know how rare that is?" As wedding preparations began, I noticed how Sophia became increasingly distant. Tyler and his mother took control of every detail from the venue to the floral arrangements. When I offered to help address invitations or accompany Sophia to dress fittings, I was politely but firmly told everything was handled. "Tyler's mother knows everyone who matters in this city," Sophia explained when I expressed hurt feelings about being excluded. "And Tyler has a specific vision for the wedding. He wants everything to be perfect." The Sophia I knew would have bristled at someone else controlling her choices. This new Sophia seemed to welcome it, as if relinquishing her autonomy was a small price to pay for entry into Tyler's world. I worried, but I kept those worries to myself. After all, what mother wants to be accused of trying to ruin her daughter's happiness? The wedding planning intensified, and with it, my sense of displacement in my daughter's life. Tyler's family insisted on hosting the wedding at the exclusive Oakmont Country Club, where Bernard Tyler's father was a board member. The cost of the venue alone was more than I earned in a year, but when I tentatively offered to contribute to the wedding expenses, Tyler laughed. "No offence, Marjorie, but that will not be necessary," he said with that smile that never reached his eyes. "My parents would be embarrassed by anything less than the best for their only son's wedding." The comment stung, but I forced a smile. For Sophia's sake, I told myself. Always for Sophia. As the wedding date approached, I found myself increasingly isolated from the preparations. Invitations went out to 200 people, most of whom I had never met. My own invitation list was limited to 5 people. When I asked if I could include a few more close friends, Tyler's mother, Margaret, intervened. "The club has strict capacity regulations," she explained with practiced sympathy, "and we have so many important business contacts to accommodate." During a tour of Tyler's childhood home, a sprawling mansion in the most affluent part of the city, Margaret made several comments that revealed what she really thought of me. "It is so refreshing how down-to-earth you are, Marjorie," she said, while showing me their formal dining room with its crystal chandelier and antique furniture. "Sophia has done remarkably well for herself, considering her circumstances." "Her circumstances?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "Growing up in such a modest environment," Margaret clarified. "Without a father figure in that neighbourhood, Tyler told us everything, of course." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. "Sophia had everything she needed," I managed to say, including love. Margaret patted my arm condescendingly. "Of course she did, dear. No one is suggesting otherwise." The rehearsal dinner the night before the wedding was held at an upscale restaurant owned by one of Bernard's business associates. When I arrived, I discovered I was seated at a table far from the wedding party, despite being the mother of the bride. When I quietly asked the event coordinator about the seating arrangement, she checked her chart. "This seating was approved by Mrs. Harrington personally," she whispered, referring to Tyler's mother. During the dinner, I excused myself to use the restroom and overheard Tyler and his mother speaking in a quiet alcove near the coat check. "Did you see what Marjorie is wearing?" Margaret was saying. "That department store dress must have been on clearance." Tyler laughed. "At least she tried. Sophia warned her about the dress code. But I guess some people cannot help but look cheap." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. Then I heard Sophia's voice join them. "Please do not talk about my mum that way," she said, but her voice was weak, pleading rather than demanding. "Sweetheart, we are just having a little fun," Tyler replied. Your mother is a dear, but you have to admit she sticks out like a sore thumb among our crowd. When I confronted Sophia later that night in her hotel room, her reaction shocked me. You were eavesdropping, she accused, eyes flashing. That is so like you, Mum. Always suspicious, always assuming the worst about Tyler. I was not eavesdropping. I was walking to the restroom and heard them mocking my dress. They were just joking around, Sophia insisted. You are not used to their sense of humour. You are not used to their world. If their world includes making fun of people based on their income, then I do not want to be used to it, I replied, hurt. See, this is exactly why they think you do not fit in. You are so judgmental, Sophia snapped. You have been against Tyler from day one because he comes from money, and you are jealous that I am moving up in the world when you never did. Her words felt like a slap. Is that what you think of me, that I am jealous of you? I think you are trying to ruin my happiness because you never found yours, she shot back. I left her room in tears, returning to my own hotel room where I spent the night looking at old photographs of Sophia growing up. Pictures of her kindergarten graduation, her first lost tooth, US building sandcastles at the beach, her high school prom. In each photo, her smile was genuine, her eyes bright with confidence and joy. When had that changed? When had my brave, independent daughter become this defensive stranger? The morning of the wedding, I put on a brave face and went to Sophia's suite to help her get ready. The atmosphere was tense at first, neither of us mentioning our argument from the night before. As I helped her into her wedding gown, an exquisite custom creation that cost more than my car, I saw a flash of my real daughter return. You look beautiful, sweetheart, I said, tears welling in my eyes. Do I look like you did on your wedding day? She asked softly, an unexpected vulnerability in her question. I smiled, remembering my own simple wedding. You look far more beautiful, and I hope you will be far happier. For a brief moment, Sophia looked uncertain. Did you love Dad when you married him? With all my heart, I answered honestly. Sometimes love is not enough, though. You need respect and partnership too. Sophia turned away to adjust her veil, but not before I saw conflict in her eyes. Before she could respond, Tyler's mother burst in with the makeup artist and hairstylist, effectively ending our moment of connection. Walking Sophia down the aisle was bittersweet. I felt immense pride seeing my beautiful daughter take this monumental step in her life, but also a deep-seated fear that she was making a terrible mistake. When the minister asked who gives this woman to be married, my voice caught as I said, I do. It felt like I was giving her away, not just to Tyler, but to a world that would judge her by standards that had nothing to do with her character or heart. The wedding ceremony itself was picture perfect, like something from a luxury bridal magazine. White roses and orchids cascaded from every surface. A string quartet played softly as 200 guests watched Sophia and Tyler exchange vows. I sat in the front row, alone on Sophia's side, except for my friend Amanda, who squeezed my hand supportively throughout the ceremony. After the final kiss and presentation of the couple, everyone moved to the grand ballroom for the reception. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, reflecting in the polished marble floors. Ice sculptures shaped like swans flanked the massive head table, where Sophia and Tyler sat with his parents and the wedding party. My table was near the back, despite tradition dictating the mother of the bride should be seated prominently. This is ridiculous, Amanda muttered as we found our assigned seats. You should be up there with Sophia. I forced a smile. It is fine. Today is about Sophia's happiness, not protocol. The toasts began with Bernard rising to his feet, champagne flute in hand. He spoke for 10 minutes about Tyler's accomplishments and the bright future ahead for the couple. His only mention of Sophia was to compliment her beauty and say how she would make a fine addition to the Harrington family. There was no acknowledgement of me or Sophia's upbringing at all. Margaret followed with her own toast, praising Sophia's remarkable journey from her humble beginnings and how sometimes diamonds are found in the rough. I felt each word like a subtle dig implying Sophia had succeeded despite her background, rather than because of the values and work ethic I had instilled in her. As the evening progressed, I barely saw Sophia. She circulated among Tyler's family friends and business associates, playing the role of the perfect bride. Whenever she approached my table, someone from Tyler's side would intercept her, pulling her away for a photograph or introduction. I sat nursing a glass of champagne, feeling increasingly invisible at my own daughter's wedding. "You look miserable," Amanda observed. "Have you eaten anything?" I shook my head. "I am not hungry." "This whole thing is strange," she said. "Where are all the traditional mother-daughter moments? The dance, the special toast?" I had wondered the same thing. The schedule of events I had been given made no mention of a mother-daughter dance, though there was a father-son dance planned for later. When I had asked the wedding planner about it, she had seemed confused. "That was not in the final program approved by Mr. and Mrs. Harrington," she had explained, meaning Tyler's parents. As if reading my thoughts, the DJ announced it was time for the father-son dance. I watched as Tyler and Bernard took to the dance floor, Bernard looking proud and Tyler confident. Sophia sat at the head table, applauding politely. Our eyes met briefly across the room, and I thought I saw regret in hers before she quickly looked away. After the dance, I decided to make an effort to engage with Tyler's family. I approached a group that included Bernard and introduced myself to the people I had not yet met. Marjorie," Bernard said with a practiced smile. "Let me introduce you to Charles Wilson, CEO of Midwest Development, and his wife Patricia. Charles, Patricia, this is Sophia's mother." Marjorie raised Sophia entirely on her own. Bernard continued his tone, suggesting he was presenting an oddity. "She works at a library, I believe." "School librarian," I corrected gently. "For 25 years now." "How quaint," Patricia remarked. "And what does your husband do?" "I am not married," I replied. "Sophia's father and I divorced many years ago." "Divorced?" Patricia exchanged glances with her husband. "Well, Sophia certainly turned out well regardless." The conversation continued in this vein, with each comment reminding me that in their eyes Sophia had succeeded despite me, not because of me. I excused myself after a few minutes, retreating to the ladies' room to collect myself. Looking in the mirror, I barely recognized the woman staring back. I had spent more on this mother-of-the-bride dress than I had ever spent on clothing for myself, yet I felt completely out of place. My makeup, my hair, even my posture seemed wrong in this setting. For the first time, I began to question if I even knew who Sophia was becoming in this new world she had entered. The reception was in full swing. When the servers began bringing out the main course, I returned to my table, determined to maintain my dignity, despite feeling increasingly isolated. The meal was elaborate, with 5 courses of food I barely tasted. Just as dessert was being served, the DJ's voice came over the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, the groom would like to make a special announcement." The room quieted as Tyler stood microphone in hand, his smile dazzling under the chandelier lights. "Before we cut the cake, I would like to take a moment to honor someone very special," he said, his voice carrying through the ballroom. "Today is not just about Sophia and me joining our lives together, it is about joining our families." A murmur of appreciation rippled through the crowd. I felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps I had misjudged Tyler. Maybe this was his way of extending an olive branch. "Marjorie," Tyler continued, looking directly at me, "my beloved new mother-in-law." 200 pairs of eyes turned to me. I felt my cheeks flush with unexpected emotion. "Without Marjorie, we would not have our beautiful bride today," Tyler said smoothly. "I would like to invite her to join us at the head table for a special toast in her honor." Stunned, I rose to my feet as guests applauded. Amanda squeezed my hand encouragingly as I smoothed my dress and began the long walk across the ballroom. Tyler stepped down from the head table and met me halfway, taking my arm in a gentlemanly gesture. Up close, his smile seemed different somehow, a gleam in his eyes I could not quite interpret. "I have been waiting for this moment all day," he whispered as he guided me toward the head table. Sophia looked surprised but pleased as we approached. She reached out her hand to me, and for a moment, everything felt right. This was how it should be, mother and daughter sharing this important day. Tyler positioned me in front of a chair next to Sophia and picked up his champagne glass. "Everyone, please raise your glasses," he announced, "to family unity and new beginnings." The guests stood glasses raised. I felt a swell of emotion, thinking perhaps I had been wrong about Tyler. Maybe he did appreciate what I meant to Sophia. "Please, Marjorie, have a seat," Tyler said, gesturing gallantly to the chair behind me. He placed his hand on the back of the chair as I began to sit. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. As my weight shifted backward, expecting the solid support of the chair, there was suddenly nothing there. Tyler had pulled the chair away in one swift movement. I fell backward, landing hard on the floor, my dress riding up past my knees, my purse spilling open beside me. The physical pain was immediate, a shock up my tailbone and spine, but it paled in comparison to what came next. "Your place is on the floor," Tyler announced loudly, still holding the chair, his voice carrying through the suddenly silent ballroom. For one excruciating second, nobody moved. Then laughter erupted, rippling through the crowd like a wave. Most guests seemed to think this was a planned joke, some kind of wedding prank. I saw Sophia's face, her hand covering her mouth, eyes wide with mortification, but frozen in place. I tried to stand, my hands trembling, my face burning with humiliation. My ankle throbbed where I had twisted it in the fall. Before I could get to my feet, I heard the scraping of a chair and saw Amanda rushing toward me, but someone else reached me first. Bernard Tyler's father was suddenly at my side. The room gradually fell silent as he extended his hand to me, looking directly into my eyes with an expression of genuine concern. He spoke clearly enough for those nearby to hear. "No mother deserves this treatment, especially one who raised such a wonderful daughter alone. Get up, my dear. Your place is beside your daughter, where you have always been." The shock of his words matched the shock of the fall. Bernard, who had seemed every bit as judgmental as the rest of Tyler's family, was helping me to my feet with genuine dignity. He pulled a handkerchief from his pocket and discreetly handed it to me, allowing me to wipe my eyes without smudging my makeup further. Tyler's face registered pure shock at his father's intervention. He quickly tried to recover, forcing a laugh. "Dad, it was just a joke," he said. "Everyone does these kinds of pranks at weddings." Bernard turned to his son, his expression hardening. "This is not how we treat family. This is not how I raised you." The room had gone completely silent now. Tyler's mother, Margaret, stepped forward, her social graces kicking in. "Perhaps we should move on to cutting the cake," she suggested brightly. "Everyone is having such a wonderful time." "No, Margaret," Bernard said firmly. "We are not moving on. We have enabled this behavior for too long." He turned back to me, still holding my elbow supportively. "Marjorie, I owe you an apology. Not just for my son's inexcusable behavior today, but for how you have been treated throughout this process." I could barely process what was happening. My eyes sought Sophia, who seemed to be waking from a trance. She stepped away from the head table and came to my other side. "Mom," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Are you okay?" Before I could answer, Tyler interrupted, his charm evaporating as his public humiliation grew. "Sophia, come on," he hissed. "Your mother is making a scene. It was a harmless joke." Bernard fixed his son with a stern look. "Tyler, there is nothing harmless about publicly humiliating your wife's mother." Then, to my surprise, Bernard addressed the room. "Many of you do not know this, but I came from humble beginnings myself. I worked my way through college on scholarship, much like Sophia did. I never forgot where I came from, even as I built my business. My son, unfortunately, has never known struggle, and it shows in his character today." Tyler's face contorted with anger. "Dad, this is my wedding. What are you doing?" Margaret tried again to defuse the situation, Bernard please the guests? Can all see exactly what kind of man their friend truly is? Bernard finished for her, and perhaps it is time they did. I found my voice at last, drawing strength from Bernard's unexpected support. I do not need to make a scene, I said quietly. I just want to sit with my daughter. Sophia finally broke her paralysis and stepped forward, confronting Tyler directly. Why would you do that to my mother? Why would you humiliate her that way? Tyler's mask slipped completely. Your mother has been trying to control everything from day one, he snapped, looking down on me and my family, judging our lifestyle. She does not belong in our world, and the sooner you accept that, the better. I watched as the truth dawned in Sophia's eyes. She looked at Tyler as if seeing him for the first time. This is who you really are, she asked softly. This is the man I just married. I could have stepped back, let them work through this private moment. But something inside me had changed when I hit that floor. I found myself speaking not just to Tyler or Sophia, but to everyone present. I have never looked down on wealth, I said, my voice growing stronger with each word. I have only ever wanted my daughter to be respected and loved for who she is, not what she can bring to someone else's image or status. Real love does not push people down to elevate itself. It lifts others up. Tyler tried to dismiss me with a wave. Always so dramatic. This is why we did not involve you in the planning. You are ruining our wedding. No, Tyler, Amanda called from nearby. You ruined it when you showed everyone what kind of man you really are. Several guests murmured in agreement. Bernard placed a hand on Tyler's shoulder. Son, the band is taking a break, he said firmly. I think you and I need to have a private conversation. He nodded to a server who quickly appeared at his side. Please show my son and me to a private room. As Tyler was led away by his father, I stood in the middle of the ballroom, the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. Sophia remained beside me, looking lost and confused. The perfect wedding was in shambles, and in its ruins, I saw my daughter truly seeing her new husband for the first time. The elegant reception lay in disarray. Guests huddled in small groups, whispering behind napkins and champagne glasses. The string quartet had stopped playing, unsure if they should continue. The wedding planner flitted nervously from table to table, trying to salvage what remained of the celebration. Sophia took my hand and led me away from the curious eyes toward the bridal suite. Amanda followed, running interference when well-meaning guests tried to approach. Once inside the suite, Sophia locked the door and burst into tears. I am so sorry, Mum, she sobbed, mascara streaking down her perfect makeup. I had no idea he would do something like that. I swear I did not know. I sat beside her on the small sofa, my ankles still throbbing my dignity, bruised more deeply than my body. I know you did not, I said softly. But Sophia, this did not come from nowhere. She looked at me through her tears. What do you mean? The way he spoke to you on the phone, how he gradually separated you from me, from your friends, the constant put-downs disguised as jokes. I took her hand. I saw the signs but stayed silent because I did not want to seem like I was interfering. Sophia's shoulders slumped. There were other things you did not see, she admitted in a small voice. He checks my phone, gets angry if I spend time with friends he has not approved, says my clothes are sometimes too cheap or too revealing. Each word felt like another chair being pulled out from under me. My strong, independent daughter had been slowly trapped in a controlling relationship, and I had watched it happen without intervening forcefully enough. The worst part, Sophia continued, is that he told me I needed to distance myself from you, that your lifestyle and background would hold me back in his social circles. And you believed him. I could not keep the hurt from my voice. Sophia shook her head. Not at first, but he was so confident, so sure of everything. He made it sound like he was helping me, like he knew what was best. She looked up at me, her eyes red from crying. How did I not see who he really was? Before I could answer, there was a knock at the door. Amanda, who had been quietly supporting us both, went to check who it was. Bernard stood in the hallway, his expression grave. "May I come in?" he asked. "I would like to speak with both of you." Sophia nodded, and Bernard entered, closing the door behind him. He looked older suddenly, the confident businessman replaced by a concerned father. "First," he said, looking directly at me, "I want to apologize for my son's behavior and for how my family has treated you, Marjorie. There is no excuse." I nodded, appreciating his directness. "Second," he continued, turning to Sophia, "I want you to know that I have suspected for some time that Tyler has issues with control and entitlement. His mother and I share responsibility for that. We gave him everything without teaching him empathy or respect." Sophia wiped her eyes. "What happens now? We just got married." Bernard sighed heavily. "Legally, yes, but a marriage that begins this way—" He shook his head. "I have asked my personal attorney to come tomorrow morning. He can advise you on annulment options." "Annulment." Sophia repeated the word, hanging in the air. "It is your decision," Bernard said gently. "But I would not blame you if you wanted to end this before it truly begins." A fresh wave of tears overcame Sophia. "Everyone will know. 200 people just witnessed this disaster. How will I face them?" I took my daughter's hand. "The real embarrassment is not in leaving a harmful situation," I told her. "It is in staying somewhere. You are diminished." Bernard nodded in agreement. "I have arranged rooms for both of you at the hotel across town where you can have privacy tonight, and I will handle Tyler." "What about all our gifts, the honeymoon tickets?" Sophia asked, practical concerns emerging through the emotional storm. "All can be dealt with tomorrow," Bernard assured her. "Right now, the priority is your well-being." As if on cue, Amanda returned with the wedding coordinator, who had gathered Sophia's overnight bag and a few essentials. Bernard excused himself to make arrangements for our transportation while we collected ourselves. "What should I take?" Sophia asked numbly, looking around at the bridal suite filled with wedding paraphernalia. "What do you bring when you leave your own wedding reception?" "Just what you need for tonight," I advised her. "Everything else can wait." Amanda helped Sophia change out of her wedding gown into a simple dress, while I sat with my elevated ankle still processing the events of the evening. I thought about the chair being pulled away the moment of suspension before I hit the floor. It felt like a metaphor for what had been happening to Sophia all along, supports being removed while she was expected to maintain perfect balance. We were nearly ready to leave when the door burst open. Tyler stood there, his face flushed with anger, his tie loosened and hair dishevelled. "What the hell are you doing?" he demanded, looking at Sophia's changed clothes and the packed bag. "The guests are waiting. We have the cake cutting and first dance." Sophia straightened her shoulders. "I am not staying, Tyler." "Do not be ridiculous," he scoffed. "You cannot leave your own wedding because of one stupid joke." "It was not a joke," Sophia replied, her voice stronger than I had heard it in months. "It was cruel, and it showed me exactly who you are." Tyler's strategy shifted instantly. His face softened, and he stepped towards Sophia with his hand outstretched. "Baby, I am so sorry. I had too much champagne. I was trying to be funny for my friends. You know I adore your mother." I held my breath, worried Sophia might waver. Instead, she stepped backward. "No, Tyler. No more explanations or excuses. I am going with my mother tonight. We can talk tomorrow with the lawyers." "Lawyers?" Tyler's face hardened again. "Are you threatening me on our wedding day?" "She is protecting herself," I interjected, unable to stay silent. Tyler turned on me, pointing an accusatory finger. "You did this. You turned her against me because you could not stand that she was moving up in the world." Bernard appeared in the doorway behind his son. "That is enough, Tyler," he said firmly. "Let the ladies leave with their dignity intact. You are taking their side." Tyler looked incredulous. "My own father. I am taking the side of decency," Bernard replied. "Something I apparently failed to teach you properly." He turned to us. Your car is waiting at the side entrance. I will handle things here. As we slipped out of the country club through a service entrance, I heard Tyler's raised voice still arguing with his father. I worried about Bernard, but he seemed more than capable of managing his son. In the car, Sophia sat between Amanda and me, occasionally wiping away tears, but sitting straighter with each passing mile. When we reached my modest home instead of the hotel Bernard had arranged, Sophia looked at me questioningly. I thought we might be more comfortable here, I explained. More at home, Sophia nodded gratefully. After Amanda left with promises to check on us tomorrow, Sophia and I sat in my kitchen drinking tea like we had done thousands of times before. She had changed into borrowed pajamas, washed off her makeup, and looked young again, like my daughter, rather than the sophisticated stranger she had become. I cannot believe this is how my wedding day ended, she said, staring into her mug. I know, sweetheart. I feel so stupid. You are not stupid, I said firmly. You were manipulated by someone who was very good at it. We talked late into the night, Sophia gradually revealing more about her relationship with Tyler, how he had isolated her from friends who were not ambitious enough, how he criticized her clothes, her job, her interests, how he had convinced her that his controlling behavior was actually care and concern. For the first time in more than a year, I saw genuine laughter return to my daughter's eyes when I recounted Bernard's shocked expression at his son's behavior. I never saw that coming, Sophia admitted. Bernard always seemed so formal, so judgmental. People can surprise you, I said. Sometimes it takes a crisis to reveal someone's true character. As we finally headed to bed in the early morning hours, Sophia paused at the door of her childhood bedroom. Mum, thank you for not saying I told you so. I hugged her tightly. There is nothing to be gained from that. We move forward, not backward. I am so embarrassed about tomorrow. Facing everyone, returning gifts. One step at a time, I advised. Tonight, just rest. As I lay in bed, replaying the day's events, I realized that while a chair had been pulled out from under me, I had found my footing in a way I never expected. Sometimes falling down is what you need to finally stand up properly. 6 months passed like a slow exhale after holding your breath too long. Sophia moved back in with me temporarily while sorting through the wreckage of her almost marriage. The annulment process guided by Bernard's attorney was nearly complete. Tyler had fought it initially, but Bernard's influence and the threat of making Tyler's behavior more public had eventually led to his cooperation. To my surprise, Bernard and I developed an unexpected friendship through this ordeal. He called weekly to check on Sophia and often included me in the conversation. I learned that beneath his formal businessman exterior was a thoughtful man with regrets about how he had raised his son. I gave Tyler everything except the understanding that he was not entitled to everything, Bernard confessed during one of our conversations. I admire how you raised Sophia. With far fewer resources, you gave her what really matters: character. Sophia spent the first month after the wedding mostly at home, too embarrassed to face friends or colleagues. But gradually, she began reconnecting with old friends she had drifted away from during her time with Tyler. Their unconditional support helped her see how isolated she had become. Ali said she tried to warn me about Tyler, Sophia told me one evening. Apparently, he had a reputation for dating women and trying to remake them to fit his image. I did not listen because I was already too deep into believing he knew best. Hindsight makes everything clearer, I replied, careful not to add to her self-recrimination. Sophia started therapy to understand why she had accepted Tyler's controlling behavior. The therapist says I was vulnerable because I never had a consistent father figure, she explained after one session. I was looking for someone confident who seemed to have all the answers. That makes sense, I acknowledged, but it does not make what happened your fault. I joined a support group for parents of adult children in controlling relationships. The stories I heard from other parents helped me understand I was not alone in missing the signs or feeling helpless as I watched my child slip away. During one particularly meaningful session, I had an epiphany about my own marriage to Sophia's father. Richard had displayed many of the same controlling tendencies that Tyler had, just less extreme and without the wealth to enforce them. I had inadvertently modelled acceptance of disrespect, perhaps setting the stage for Sophia's relationship patterns. The most important thing, our group facilitator emphasized, is that your children see you valuing yourself now. It is never too late to demonstrate self-respect. As spring turned to summer, Sophia received an exciting job offer from a marketing firm in Seattle. It meant moving across the country, and she was torn about leaving me after everything we had been through. "You should take it," I encouraged her without hesitation. "It is an amazing opportunity." "But what about you? After everything with the wedding and Tyler, I feel terrible about leaving you alone." I took her hands in mine. "Sophia, that chair being pulled away taught me something important. I had been sitting back watching your life unfold without fully speaking up when I saw warning signs. I will not make that mistake again, including holding you back out of fear or neediness." "You never held me back," Sophia protested. "Maybe not intentionally, but I realize now that by not fully advocating for myself throughout your life, I taught you it was okay to shrink yourself for others." I squeezed her hands. "I do not want that for you anymore. I want you to soar." To my delight, Berner called a week later to invite both Sophia and me to dinner. He arrived with a lovely woman named Diana, a widow he had known for years, but only recently started dating. "Diana owns an art gallery downtown," Bernard explained as we enjoyed our meal. "She has been trying to get me to appreciate modern art for a decade." Diana laughed. "Bernard was all business when I met him. Now he actually knows the difference between Monet and Manet." The easy affection between them was striking, especially in contrast to the formal, status-conscious relationship Bernard had with Margaret, who had moved to their vacation home in Florida shortly after the wedding disaster. "Good men exist who value women for their minds and hearts," Diana told Sophia over dessert. "Never settle for less than that." The week before Sophia was to move to Seattle, we spent an afternoon packing her childhood bedroom. In a box of mementos, we found a wedding photo someone had sent her, captured at the exact moment Tyler had pulled the chair away. The photographer had accidentally documented the beginning of my fall, the shocked expressions just starting to form on guests' faces. Sophia looked at it, and then at me, her expression uncertain. "I cannot believe this happened." I studied the photo, expecting to feel the humiliation all over again. Instead, I found myself smiling. "You know what is strange? I am almost grateful it did." "Grateful how?" "Because without that moment, without Tyler showing his true self so publicly, you might have spent years in an unhappy marriage before finding the strength to leave." I set the photo aside. "That fall saved you from a lifetime of being pushed down." Sophia was quiet for a moment, then laughed, a genuine, free sound I had missed for so long. "You are right. It is like I was sleepwalking and hitting the floor woke us both up." On Sophia's last night before moving, we sat on the porch swing, like we had done throughout her childhood, watching fireflies dance in the yard. "I am nervous about starting over," she admitted. "What if I make the same mistakes? What if I cannot trust my own judgment about people?" I thought carefully before answering. "The difference is that now you know what to watch for. You have learned to value yourself too much to accept being diminished. I learned that from you," she said. "Especially these last few months. You are stronger than I ever realized." "We both are," I told her. "Sometimes life pulls the chair out from under you. The important thing is not whether you fall, but how you get back up and who helps you stand." As I hugged my daughter goodbye the next morning, I felt a peace I had not experienced in years. We had both fallen, but we had risen stronger. And sometimes that is exactly what needs to happen for us to find our true balance in life. Have you ever experienced a moment when someone showed their true colours at the worst possible time? Or have you had to stand up for yourself or a loved one when it would have been easier to stay silent? Share your story in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength in difficult moments. And if you know someone who might need to hear this message about recognizing their worth, share this video with them. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes falling down is exactly what we need to finally stand tall.